we have been having a conversation called Classroom Detox. This question changes everything. And here's one of my favorite things to remember: you cannot abolish what you will not acknowledge. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Dr. O here. I'm here to boost your confidence and your compassion so you can create brain rich, emotionally responsive classrooms where both students and teachers can thrive. Around here, we connect human development to human dignity because when we understand ourselves and our students better, we can create environments where everyone flourishes. Now, before we jump into today's conversation, I would like to invite you inside of our Skool community where we go deeper into these topics. Every third Tuesday of the month, we have an evening conversation that we call Popcorn, Pajamas, and Pedagogy, where a bunch of educators like yourself get together and we further these conversations. So, if you've been looking for a restorative space grounded in neuroscience where you can begin to connect everything that you learned about child development to human dignity, this is the place for you. So, because it is the end of the school year, we have been having a conversation called Classroom Detox. It is so important that teachers detox what is on them and in them from the previous school year so they do not take it into the next school year. So, in the last video, we talked about detoxing our language, getting rid of the negative self talk, getting rid of the negative talk about our students and our coworkers because we understand that words shape worlds. We explored the ways that the words we use shape how we see the children and families that we serve. And that ultimately influences how we are responding to them. But today, we're going to go deeper. Somebody say, let's go deeper. Today, we're going to talk about detoxing our stress response. Why? Because here's the truth. Many educators are trying to create these calm spaces, these calm classrooms for their students while simultaneously operating from a chronically activated nervous system. And listen, that's not criticism, okay? That's just reality. A reality that I often found myself in the 20 plus years that I taught as well. Teaching is emotionally demanding work. And see, the problem is so many of us have been functioning on survival mode for so long that we don't even recognize that we are operating from a dysregulated state. When survival mode becomes normal, you know what? We stop noticing the toll that it is taking on us, the toll that it's taking on our mind, the toll that it is taking on our emotions, and yes, the toll that it's taking on our bodies. And not only does teaching from a dysregulated nervous system negatively impact us, it also impacts the students and the families that we serve. See, what most people picture when they think about stress in a classroom, they think about a teacher yelling, they think about a teacher getting emotional, they think about a teacher breaking down and crying in front of the kids. Yes, it happens. But here's the deal: stress doesn't always look loud. Sometimes stress looks like rushing, over controlling, micromanaging, feeling very irritated by minor behaviors, feeling overwhelmed by noise. The normal noise that happens in the early childhood classroom begins to annoy you. It could look like taking behavior personally, like it's an attack on you, like the 3-year old's tantrum or autistic meltdown. More on that in another video. You're taking it personal. It's because they don't like me. You're now centering yourself on the misbehavior of a child instead of viewing it for what it is, simply communication. Stress can look like constant exhaustion. How many Red Bulls do you need to consume to get through the day? Oop, I'm preaching to myself. Stress can look like feeling like you're always on. You never get a chance to turn off. Sometimes what we think is a classroom management problem is actually a nervous system problem. And here's one of my favorite things to remember. A dysregulated nervous system will always choose protection over connection. And we all know we got to connect with our students and our families in order to serve them well. But when you're dysregulated, you go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And when our brains detect stress, that amygdala, our brain's stress response button, it turns on. And now the brain becomes highly active. Because why? We got to protect ourselves because we don't want to die. And when the amygdala becomes activated and our brains are on this high stress response, guess what? You have trouble accessing your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain where we make what? Rational decisions. That prefrontal cortex, where your problem solving, your empathy, your flexibility, your impulse control, your perspective taking, that prefrontal cortex becomes very difficult to access the more heightened the brain gets in this stress response mode. Okay, so I'm going to put it in simple terms. The CEO of your brain clocks out. And when that CEO clocks out, baby, we come more reactive than reflective in how it is that we are teaching. And that's not because we're bad educators. It's because we are human beings with a nervous system. And when that nervous system is dysregulated and when the brain is tightened, the brain is telling the body what to do. And the brain is telling the body, respond, 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 protect yourself, instead of calmly reflecting on what is going on around us in our classroom so that we can respond rather than react. You cannot reflect and respond with a dysregulated nervous system. And that's why we got to detox. You say, well, Dr. O, why does it matter? I've been operating with dysregulated nervous system for so long. This is just how I operate. I'm always on team no sleep and all that other foolishness. Well, let me tell you why this matters. And this is where human development and human dignity connect. Because children are constantly scanning the environment for safety. Neuroscientists call this neuroception. Neuroception. And if you're wondering, Dr. O, what in the world is neuroception? First of all, you're asking exactly the right question. I believe early childhood educators should be just as comfortable talking about the brain as they are their lesson plans. The early years are one of the most significant periods for brain development. And when we understand what is happening neurologically, we see behavior, learning, and relationships through a completely different lens. And that's exactly the kind of learning and conversation that we're building inside of our school community. Neuroception, where the brain is constantly scanning for where it is safe. When a child enters your classroom, they are asking the following questions in their brains. Can I trust this adult? Can I trust this environment? Can I relax enough to learn? Can I make mistakes here? And most importantly, can I belong here? These are the questions that are going on in that child's brain every single time they enter the classroom. And that is why our tone matters, our pacing matters, our facial expressions matter. Our emotional state It matters because children don't just hear our words, they experience our nervous system. Do I need to say that again for the people in the back? Children don't just hear our words, they experience our nervous system. What good is it to detox your language, but your nervous system still be dysregulated? So you may not be speaking negatively about the child, but you're definitely looking at the child like, and you know exactly what I mean. And this is why brain rich classrooms don't start with behavior charts. They don't start with schedules and perfectly timed transitions. They start with regulated adults. The emotional climate is not part of the curriculum, it is the curriculum. And for all of you that are like, oh, social emotional learning, it's just fluff. It's just fluff, baby. You clearly don't know enough about neuroscience. Emotional regulation is the curriculum. Because if children can't answer those questions that I mentioned in the affirmative, baby, they are not going to take anything from any of those beautiful lessons that you're trying to teach. Why? Because the children learn the content from us. They learn how relationships should feel from us. They learn whether mistakes are safe from us. They learn whether or not adults can stay connected during those hard moments from us. They learn whether dignity remains intact when behavior becomes challenging from us. So, yes, a regulated nervous system, it matters because learning is caught way before it is taught. You can tell me it's safe, but if you don't show me it's safe, I won't believe you. You can tell me I can make mistakes, but if you don't show me I can make mistakes, I won't believe you. And this is exactly what we'll be exploring inside of our popcorn, pajamas, and pedagogy conversation. Because the goal isn't just to simply be aware of our dysregulated nervous system. The goal is implementation. What can I do practically now, Dr. O, that I know that, wow, checkbox, 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 that's me. My nervous system is dysregulated. What do I do now? And that's exactly why I created Dr. O's Learning Lab, a community where we can get together and we can go deeper. Every second Tuesday of the month, we are coming together from 8 to 8:30 p.m. and we are diving deeper into this conversation. Because it's one thing to understand the nervous system, it's another thing to notice your own activation during dismissal, transitions, conflict, or just a particularly difficult day. And that's the work that we'll be doing inside of our community. Listen, this week, I don't want you to fix anything. I just want you to notice. Notice. When does your body tighten? When do your shoulders raise? When does your breathing become shallow? When does your voice change? When do you become hyper focused on compliance over connection? When do you stop being curious? When do you feel urgency? Because awareness comes before regulation. I say it all the time and I'll say it again. You cannot abolish what you will not acknowledge. So I simply want you to begin to notice, become aware. One of the biggest mindset shifts we can have is this: what if my nervous system is influencing this interaction more than I realize? This question changes everything. When we understand our own nervous system, we become more compassionate towards the students and families that we serve. We stop asking, what is wrong with this child? And we begin to ask, what is this child experiencing? And we also learn to ask, what am I experiencing? Dignity is not something that we're just offering our students. Dignity is something that we need to offer ourselves. Listen, you can't consistently pour the message of regulation and self regulation and social emotional stability into children while ignoring your own humanity. Children need regulated adults. And adults, we deserve regulated environments. So, yes, it is time to detox our nervous systems. And we're going to be going much deeper into this inside of our Skool community, where we are discussing practically how to detox our nervous system. But until we meet, I want you to just begin to notice. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd like to invite you to join us inside of our Skool community. Each month, during our popcorn, pajamas, and pedagogy conversations, we gather with educators who are committed to connecting human development with human dignity. Inside this community, we are learning how to create brain rich, emotionally responsive classrooms where both teachers and students can thrive. It's not about perfection. It's not about teacher hustle. It's about sustainable teaching, thoughtful teaching, dignity centered teaching. You'll find the link below. And if today's video was helpful, we ask that you like and subscribe and share it with a fellow educator who wants to go deeper into these topics that are so foundational. Why? Because we don't need another PD on classroom management. We don't need another PD on best practices for curriculum development. What we need are these conversations where we go deeper into the heart of the matter, the heart of teaching, which centers on humanity. And remember, dysregulated nervous systems equal dysregulated classrooms. So join us in the next video where we're going to be talking about how to detox our expectations. Not our expectations about our classrooms, but our expectations. The expectations we carry about our students, the expectations we carry about our families, the expectations that we carry about our colleagues, and most importantly, the expectations that we carry about ourselves. Because our expectations may be contributing more to burnout than we realize. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with a fellow educator. Why? Because awareness creates choice. Choice creates change, and change creates classrooms where dignity, development, and humanity have room to breathe. Remember, children don't need perfect adults, they need regulated ones. I'll see you in the next video.